check
Oh no, I think it's
Twitch to see if I'm on Twitch, and that'll show me that it's working. We're live. Okay, across all of them.
woo.
Okay, guys.
Yes.
So let's do ground rules first. Welcome some wonderful new faces to the chat. Everybody go on mute if you're not asking a question. If you have a question, unmute yourself and holler at me. I will try to answer all the questions. We're going to start today, and we're going to have to finish tomorrow because it's a long process. I'm going to give you some homework. But in the end, I think most of you have had my Khao Soi. I know there are some Uber fans of my Khao Soi on here, and maybe some newbies. So I'm going to start off by talking about what Khao Soi is, and then we're going to jump right into cooking it. So Khao Soi, the way I make it, is a northern Thai dish that you get primarily in the Chiang Mai area, that was originally influenced by a Burmese dish, but there's also a Lao variation of it. So you can have Khao Soi in different places and have very different things. This version, the Northern Thai version, is essentially a curry soup broth made with coconut milk and has wet noodles, then crispy fried noodles on top. And as the Thais do, there's a lot of accoutrements that go with it to season it and make it awesome. So let me just do this. Excuse me. So the origin of it for me was I used to own a travel company. I did tours to Southeast Asia for many years, and I discovered this dish. You know, it's not one of the most popular Thai dishes. It's not something like pad Thai that you see everywhere or tom yum soup, because it's fairly complicated to make. It's very regional. It's focused in that specific area around Chiang Mai. But you know, my first encounter with it was riding on the back of a motor scooter in a downpour and winding up in this tin roof place with the rain patting down on the tin roof, and these steaming bowls of beautiful curry put in front of me, and the cacophonous sounds of the people there. It was just an intense, heady scene. Drinking a cold beer, it's still hot even though it's raining. It never left me, and I always wanted to learn how to make it. So over the years, I figured it out, and I'm very excited to be sharing it with you guys. I usually make this in about 10 times the quantity that we're going to be doing it. So I've tried to figure out how to scale it back, and hopefully it works out. We're going to make a portion that's going to be good enough for, let's say, 4 to 6 bowls plus leftovers. I'll be sharing it with my son, who is a fanatic, and I took him to the very places that I love in Chiang Mai a few years ago. The process, as we're going to do it, is we're going to start by making the powders that go into the curry. Then we're going to make the curry paste, and then we're going to make the curry itself. You're going to start to poach your chicken in the curry, and then your homework will be, much like we did with the matzo ball soup, to strain and debone your chicken. And then tomorrow, we're going to assemble it. We're going to fry the noodles. We're going to boil the other noodles, and we will come up with a final dish. So anybody have any questions before we get started?
I'm horribly trying to make this semi-vegetarian because my girls are vegetarian. Do you
just don't put in the chicken?
Just don't. It's fine if I don't put in the chicken.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought that the broth needed to have the chicken.
I mean, it gets some yummy flavor out of it, but if you're trying to avoid chicken, then just don't use the chicken.
Okay. Cool.
Okay. So what we're gonna need, just so you know, I've got coriander seed, I've got cumin seed. If either of those you didn't have, you could use powders. We're basically gonna roast them and make our own powder. Black cardamom and some form of a dried chili. You can use arbol, you can use puya, whatever chilies work for you. And then we're going to move into the turmeric, and then Indian curry powder. I don't know if you all track that down, but the Indian curry powder. And then aromatics, shrimp paste, shallots, ginger and garlic, and galangal. We're going to put some lemongrass. We're going to sweeten it up with palm sugar, and then add some fish sauce, soy sauce, and coconut milk. Excuse me. The coconut milk that I prefer is this. The stuff that you get at Trader Joe's or at Whole Foods isn't quite the same. You can use it, but this stuff it's got the layer of cream on top. It's just a deeper, richer flavor than the kind of stuff that you get that's a drink. So this is different than coconut drink that you'll see at Trader Joe's and Whole Foods. And I have to go to the Asian market to get this. They're often out of it. And the other thing that we use at the end of it is coconut cream. This stuff is heavy, it's thick, it's beautiful, and this brings the dish together by adding a rich, dense creaminess to the salty broth. And then lastly, the versions of fish sauce that I prefer, Red Boat is sort of the standard. It's the more expensive fish sauce, but it's made in Vietnam and it's fantastic. And then I use the Happy Baby Buddha thin soy sauce. So as you're looking for ingredients, if you're going to do this again, you may not have all those ingredients this time, but I keep them in stock. In fact, I wanted to show you guys, these are the size of the things I get at the Asian grocer. So these are the chilies. This is the coriander seed. I just keep it because it keeps forever, and get these massive sizes, and they're super cheap. I also got my son a monster pack of boba balls on this last trip. Okay, so let's get started. What you're going to need is a small pan to toast your coriander and your cumin. So you're going to put 3 tablespoons of coriander seed and your cumin, which is 1 teaspoon of cumin seed. If you're not using seed, you might back it down a little bit, because 1 teaspoon of cumin seed is probably going to be like a half a teaspoon of cumin powder. I'm not positive of that, but in that area. And then black cardamom. So this is black cardamom. It comes as a big pod, and we're going to have to break it open. I call for 2 in this recipe, but this is 2 of these big ones is what I would use. I actually have a bunch of small ones, so I'm going to use 1 big one and then 2 small ones. So I'm going to use 3 in total. And what I'm going to do is you got to kind of crack it open with the knife, and then once you pull open the seed, there's a bunch of these little nuggets inside, and that's the stuff you want to use. So you want to get the you want to get rid of it almost looks like cacao. You want to get rid of the shell and the husk, and then you wind up with these guys. And if you smell it, you'll recognize that this is a dominant flavor in Khao Soi. So that's what the little guys look like. And we're going to put those in here.
Adam,
and we're going to
about the cardamom.
And the objective is.
You showed me the cardamom again.
What's that?
Can I see the cardamom again? Oh.
Yeah, I need to break open another one because I just I put it in my pan.
Could you give an estimate of the total amount of cardamom we should put in? We're working with a different type.
What do you have, the pods though?
I do, yeah.
I don't know what that is, Kat.
Oh, this is Indian cardamom. It's just small. I think it's a different variety. So
I mean, I'm doing this kind and like 4 of these or 2 larger ones.
How much are you getting out of the inside? Like maybe in tablespoons?
The pods themselves, I think I just got Altogether, maybe a tablespoon of all of them.
Okay, perfect. Thanks.
Somebody wanted to see them again.
I'm good.
I'll put them under the overhead camera.
I'm just looking for the little seeds inside though, like a little smaller than cardamom seeds.
Yeah, they're smaller than a kernel of corn.
Okay.
Maybe, slightly bigger than a peppercorn. I haven't really come across a lot of recipes where I've used black cardamom before. This is the one and only. The other thing we're going to do is, I don't know how many of you are going to use a spice grinder versus a mortar and pestle. You got to be careful with these things too. Is anybody using a mortar and pestle? Okay. So the mortar and pestle people, you'll work a little bit harder. I'm going to be using a coffee grinder. But once you toast these, the mortar and pestle people are going to be trying to pound them down into a powder. So you're going to get very aggressive on that mortar and pestle. And, honestly, you're doing it the more traditional Thai way. And then the other thing is you'll add in the other ingredients. Are the mortar and pestle people also not using a food processor for the second part of it, or are you using a food processor?
No.
No food processor? Okay. So you're going to go the whole way. So I'm going to put this on a sort of medium-low heat. And I'm going to start toasting these guys.
Hey, Adam.
Yes.
Those black cardamom seeds, I got 2 out. It's not very much. You said something about a tablespoon, and I've got like,
about if they're tiny, then do 4 of them.
Okay.
Double it up. Mine were huge. You can look on my pan. So this other camera here shows it shows the pan and how much I have in total. So you can see of everything. And look, the proportions are not essential here. We're making a powder, and I would say we're approximating a lot of it. Now, while those are cooking, while those are toasting, I'm going to get the chilies. And what I want to do with the chilies, so about 16 of, a decent sized chili, what you want to do is cut off one end of it and then just squeeze the seeds out of it. Okay. And as you do that, that leaves you with an empty hollow pot. It's not intended to be incredibly spicy. So taking the seeds out definitely reduces the amount of spice. So we're going to do this with a bunch. There's a dish that I make that is you know what? Let me just pull up Facebook. The Discord chat doesn't seem to be working, and I just want to make sure we're live in Facebook. Let's see. I make video's happening. I think. I'm gonna mute it real quick. Oh. Okay, there it is. Okay, so hi Adam, hi Sean, Shawnee Woo, my good friend Sean. Anyway, sorry, I make a dish. I get distracted by the chat. Hi Robert, I guess you're not joining. And some of you guys have had it if you've come to the earlier Thai street food revisited dinners that I did before I just started focusing on Khao Soi. And there's a beef dish, a Nua Nom Tok, which is a grilled beef salad. And one of the ingredients in that is a dried chili powder. And it takes you know, I make it in quantity. So I might pick over a couple hundred of these chilies when making that, and then toast them down. It's a nice long, slow toasting process to give it this deep flavor. So it's quite laborious. That was my point. Make sure that you continually move and shake up your toasty spices here. You don't want them to burn. And what you're doing is you're sort of smelling for, there's a Thai word that I really like called hom. And hom means aromatic. But it's very evocative to me. It's a word that, what is it called, an onomatopoeia that almost sounds like the way it's pronounced, or how does an onomatopoeia work? It's defined by the way it sounds. So anyway, that word home, with a little tone to home. Okay, this is getting a little hot, so I'm going to slow it down a little bit. You don't want them to smoke. You want to keep it nice and light, but wow, I can smell them. The cumin toasts a little bit faster than everything else, but it's a beautiful smell. So I'm going to keep it going, and then I'm going to hit it in the spice grinder. Is everybody toasting their stuff right now? Good. And I might do a little more than 16 of these chilies because some of them are smaller than others. I also like a little bit of heat. It's all good what your preference is. So I took my son to Thailand about 4 years ago. He was maybe 10 years old. And Thailand has always been this really wonderful, special place to me. And he's been to a lot of places. He has been in Europe and South and Central America. And I really wanted him to like it as much as me. And I think maybe I took him just a little too soon. He enjoyed it. But there were times where he was a little freaked out, which surprised me. Such a great traveler. But, you know, walking around Bangkok, he was a bit overwhelmed by the difference, the foreign nature of the place, the intensity, the cacophony, the smells, the heat. These are all things that really appeal to me. But, you know, the first time I went there was when I was in my 20s. So to a 10-year-old boy, I think it was a little too much. He really liked the luxury place that we stayed in Cambodia when we went to Angkor Wat. That was his favorite part of the trip. I think he felt most secure there, but it was an interesting thing to see a kid who really loves to travel not connect as deeply with a place as other places. Okay, so these chilies are ready. And my spices are nice and toasty. So I'm going to let them cool off for just a minute before we run them through the spice grinder. You guys that are doing the mortar and pestle, you could probably start pounding that stuff out once they're toasted. So what you want to do is get in there and turn it into a powder. And then once you've pounded the spices into a powder, you're going to add in your chilies. So The other things that we're going to need for this, while these are cooling down, I'm just going to start prepping the rest of the stuff. Let me know if I'm going too fast. Going to be the shallot, the galangal, the ginger, and the lemongrass and the garlic. So I think I only put pieces on there so that I could give you, you know, a size estimate. Like, here's my ginger. I'm going to use about that big of a piece. And here is my galangal, and I'll use about that much and trim them down. What's funny, Catherine? Oh, you got really big pieces? So do I. I had to break off. You almost can't, oh, actually, I've got all of this. You almost can't break off that tiny of a piece in the grocer. So yeah, it's not a lot, but it is what it is. So there's two different ways I like to peel ginger. You can use a vegetable peeler. That's pretty easy. We can also use a spoon. I don't know if you've ever used the spoon method, but it just comes right off. So that's a little trick that you may or may not know, but I highly recommend trying it. And all of a sudden, the place smells like ginger, and it's a lovely addition to the herbs or the spices. Okay. The galangal, you know, I've never tried it with a spoon. Let me see if it's got the same. No, I'm gonna cut the galangal down with a knife. Let me try it with the peeler first. See if I can get some of it. So I use a knife to get the galangal down. If you're looking for a great Asian grocery in San Francisco, it seems really dry on that piece. I'm going to try a different piece. The Numewa Market out in the Richmond is my go-to place. They've got all the stuff that you need. It's fairly cavernous. Plus they have beer lao, which is probably my favorite Southeast Asian beer. They sell it by the case, and I buy it by the case there for when I do these things. Though, haven't done one of these things in a long ass time. Because I don't work at Feastly anymore. Okay. Feastly doesn't exist anymore. So I've got my galangal, I've got my ginger ready. They're going to go in the food processor, so I'm just going to cut them into smallish pieces against the grain here. If you're doing them in a mortar and pestle, you might do them a little bit finer so that when you get them in, and I'm just going to throw them right in the food processor because I'm going to food process it all at once. For you guys who are doing mortar and pestle, you're going to want to add things one at a time. So I would start with the harder things. You probably want to put in a teaspoon of salt when you add in the garlic, ginger, and galangal, because that will help to break it down in the mortar and pestle. You'll be able to grind it a lot easier with a little friction from the salt. Garlic, I usually use the better part of a head of garlic. I would say, let's see, 2, 4, I'm gonna use six fairly large, actually 8 large or to medium bulbs of garlic. So almost a whole head. And I'm just going to take them out of their skin and right into the food processor. Now here's the thing, the curry paste that we're making, you want to get it as fine as possible because that's going to infuse the most flavor into the curry. That said, I do something that may be a little blasphemous at the end. I don't like the fibrous elements of the curry paste in my finished product. I like a smooth and creamy soup. So what I do is I strain the curry after it's had a chance to steep in all of this lovely goodness. You may choose not to do that. In this recipe, that is 100% your choice or preference. I would say most people probably keep it. They like the fibrous bits, and there's that much more flavor that gets directly to your pie hole by not straining it. But for my preferences, and it's been well received, I like to get the texture in the soup from the add-ins, the shallots, the pickled mustard greens. So I personally prefer to strain it. And therefore, the point I made is that I'm not as concerned about this texture of this curry paste, getting it as fine as it needs to be for consumption, because it's literally in there to flavor the liquids and then strained and gone. So if you're trying to do it like me, then I wouldn't sweat it too much. Okay, let's just check on things over here. Lemongrass. So I'm going to use 2 stalks of lemongrass. If you're not familiar with lemongrass and how to use it, you know, a lot of people will bang it. You can also use a mallet to bang it up a bit. Tenderize it, make it a little easier to cut. Parts that we're going to use are the white inside parts. So you want to peel out the outside layers, and then you're going to discard quite a bit of it. So I would say that it's right about here is where the white stuff starts. And then I'm going to take the end off of it. And you want to get rid of, oh, the smell. Do you guys know that citronella is made with lemongrass? So it is the thing that keeps the mosquitoes away. So sometimes we're having a particular mosquito experience, we will just cut up some lemongrass. So here's the piece of lemongrass that I'm going to be putting in. I'm going to put 2 of these in. You guys can see the size of it. This is the tender, soft innard. I'm going to chop that up into a few pieces, garlic-sized pieces, and toss that in. Let's see how we're doing here. All right. Burke Avenue in the house, indeed. So I've got my 2 pieces of lemongrass. Next, shallots. What did I tell you guys for shallots? Did I say 2 pieces? 8 ounces. So 8 ounces of shallots is, you see the difference? These are Asian shallots right here, and these are the more conventional kind. So I'm using the round ones. I would say that 8 ounces is probably this much. It's quite a bit. Shallots make up the bulk of it. Here, we can actually weigh it. I have a scale. 7.5. So I'll go one more tiny guy. Actually, one fairly large one, because once you take the skins off of it. So with the skins, I'm at 8.7. So what we're going to do is just rough chop, take the ends off of them, peel them, and throw them in. Again, mortar and pestle, people, you're prepping all this, but then you're going to go to town with the mortar and pestle and make a paste. I expect to see you guys super sweaty and hard work. Just like the Thai grandmas who make this stuff up in Chiang Mai. What's up, Jenny Carr? Getting the Facebook love. Let's see how we're looking on YouTube. I'm so blown away by this live now thing. Wow. Well, the service works. That's the good news. How you guys all doing out there? You're awfully quiet today.
We're very busy trying to keep up.
I will slow down if you need me to slow down. I want to talk about these noodles too. See this bag of noodles right here?
Oh.
This is from the Numewa grocery. Guess how much this costs without reading the tag on it for this bag of noodles? You're muted, Amy.
$10. I'm guessing $10.
Anyone else? $2.50 for that bag of noodles. Now these noodles are, they're handmade locally. They're not handmade, I can't say that. They're made locally. And these are, you can see they're a little bit thicker. These are a wonton noodle that I love to use for this. These give me the best results for the crispy. So I'm a big fan. Have you guys seen the schedule for upcoming things? So next week.
So excited about gnocchi.
We're doing gnocchi next week, but we're doing ricotta gnocchi, not potato. Super easy, super fast, like in a pinch. Definitely a go-to dish. And then I'm going to do with it, inspired by Portland, in fact, Amy. There's a restaurant that I love up in Portland that does the most amazing gnocchi with Marcella Hazan's tomato butter sauce that if you don't know how to make it, you're going to learn how to make it, and it's fantastic. The restaurant is Nostrana. On Thursdays, they do gnocchi at Nostrana, which is one of my favorite restaurants in Portland. They just get it. Robert, just $2. You were close, buddy. $2.50. Robert, if you want to hop on and co-anchor with me. And there's like side chats going on Facebook. So Sean Wolfson's hollering at Jenny Carr. Love both of you guys. Just love you. It looks like in my 8 ounces, I've actually peeled and discarded quite a bit. I might add in another shallot here, just for shits and grins. You can't really hurt this. The recipe, as most recipes that I throw out there, is a general guideline, right? You got some other things you want to throw in. You got miso instead of shrimp paste, give it a shot. I don't know. Honestly, Miso is made with soy, if I'm not mistaken, right? But I think if you're looking for something in the world of umami flavor, which is what shrimp pastes and miso, I think both aspire to be, could work. Okay, what else do I need? Let me go back to my list here. It's hard to keep it all. Lemongrass, shallots. Oh, the shrimp paste. So I'm going to put 2 tablespoons of the shrimp paste in there, ish. So we're going to get ready for a bit of an umami bomb. It's also going to smell. It does not smell good. Shrimp paste, fish sauce. These are not things that I think most American households are used to. Yet, the end result couldn't be better. All right, so I'm going to approximate 2 tablespoons of the shrimp paste. And I see people have disappeared from their screens. I'm hoping that I'm not going too fast. Oh, what it's going to make. Sarah, did you watch that video that I sent with the guy making the bolognese? Yeah. He was just like the British guy, I think, doing a bolognese, and he's yelling at everybody, don't put any fucking zucchini, or pineapple, or other nonsense in your bolognese. But I can't say whether miso in place of shrimp paste is on the same level. Okay, that's my shrimp paste.
1 tablespoon?
2. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and grind up my spices. I think that they've recovered nicely. And I'm just putting them into my coffee grinder here. I don't drink coffee, so I don't think I've ever seen a coffee bean in there. I'm listening for the cardamom. In the world of umami, sorry, that's me. The cardamom is going to be the hardest one to pulverize. Jim Fitzsimmons, hey, how are you? See how we're doing. Still got a little ways to go. Mortar and pestle people might have it better. Oh, look at you. That's a good little grinder, Kylie. I'm really getting my workout here. I can't hear you. You got to unmute here. I'll unmute you.
Oh, I was saying it's so I can get really buff in my right arm, but do no work with my left.
So I made sourdough today, and I'm very proud of the crumb that I got on my sourdough. Here, I'll show off. And I got a new technique. It's called the Rabad technique, and it's a mixing technique. And I was able to get some beautiful crumb on my bread through this 10-minute and then a pause and then 5 more minute rigorous mixing that made me buff. Okay, let's get back to these guys. Almost there. Okay, I'm going to dump that in. Nice powder, that's half of it. This part's going to go actually pretty quickly. Once we're done with this, then when we have our paste, and here's the thing, the paste that you will have, you can, we're going to use half of it in the dish, and then you can freeze the other half to do another batch. So when I used to make this for my Feastly dinners, I would make massive amounts of this, and then I would freeze it because I didn't want to have to go through this process every time. So the great thing is if you double, triple this recipe, you make it, you freeze some of the curry paste, then it's a much easier dish to make when you have the curry paste ready for you. Thursday, April 16th, 18th, 16th. I honestly couldn't tell you the day if I didn't look at my computer. Okay. I think we're good on this. Let's see. One more shot. You want to get it down to a fine powder. Catherine, here, I'll unmute you. I'm going to ask you a question. How is it going with the mortar and pestle versus this?
It's good. I'm a little behind, but here's how it looks. It's,
Nice. And what have you got in there so far?
It's the galangal, the ginger, and the half of the garlic. Haven't done, what did you say was left? Lemongrass, shallots, and shrimp paste, right?
Right. Did you already do the spices?
Yeah, I did. That popped up really nicely, yeah.
That's great.
So Adam,
It's gonna be done before the rest of us.
Yeah. I'm gonna do. I did these are my spices. Is that?
What's that?
I have these are my spices, and then I have a little food processor that I'm gonna throw it all in. Does that sound? Does that look good? Okay. That
sounds fantastic. Okay, so I've got all of my spices in there. My shrimp paste. I'm gonna put my chilies in there. And then I am going to pulverize this. And you want to get it to a pretty fine consistency. Might stop it and push down the sides a little bit, but you can see, oh, that smell. Jeez Louise, that's the smell. I'll get you every time. And just let it go until it's as finely processed as you can get it. Well, I drink, maybe I'll get some wine. I'm on to a new bottle of the Unruly Rosé. Ah, cheers. Anybody else drinking with me? There we go. What is it? It's 6 o'clock on a Thursday night in lockdown. Go a little bit further with this. The lemongrass probably is the most fibrous stuff and takes the most processing. Catherine, you'll find your arms are going to get tired on the lemongrass.
Actually, luckily, although I was not going to tell you this, I have a lemongrass paste.
Ah, lucky.
I didn't think you would be happy, but I already had it. So I think that's going to save me.
Absolutely. No, I think that's fantastic. And again, you know, with the mortar and pestle, because I like to strain it at the end, you can't really do wrong.
Yeah. It's like I got some legitimacy points back with the mortar and pestle maybe, so it all evens out in the end.
I was planning on doing this with my mortar and pestle, and I realized that I don't know where my mortar and pestle is. 20 some odd years ago, 30 years ago maybe, I carried back a big clay mortar from Thailand that was like this big with the big pestle, and don't know where it is.
Oh.
So, oh well.
I actually did order a mini food processor last week, but of course everyone in the country wants a mini food processor right now, so it's not here yet.
Right? Everybody wants all the same stuff. Yeast, toilet paper, mini food processors. Driggs, cheers. Robert's here in spirit. Those of us who have cooked with Robert know that he is our anchor, our comedic relief. You see how hard I'm cooking here. On, off. I can show you guys what we've got here. So this is just about the texture that I go for. If you want to look in the other camera. So that looks like my curry paste. See? It's pretty smooth. It's dark. It's really aromatic. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to halve this. Half that we're going to use today. And then, as I said, I'm going to freeze the other half for the next time that I make this. Guys didn't think you'd be getting a bonus, did you? You know what I might do just for shits and grins? I'll weigh them. How do I do this? Yeah, I do this. Okay. So that's 144. It's not the most appealing looking paste. 158. 178. But it smells really good. 194. Sorry for all the silence on all the channels. I'm normally talking a lot more, but this is so labor intensive. There we go. Okay. So I'm going to let you guys catch up. I'm going to talk about what's going to come next.
Hey, Adam, real quick, can I just want to make sure I'm not missing an ingredient. Was there any liquid that you put in?
No. No liquids. To get this paste, it's just all of those wonderful aromatics beaten to a pulp.
You just split it in half? Is that what I missed?
Say again?
Did you just split it in half quantity-wise?
Yes. So as I've been saying, you're going to use half of it now. Half of it you can freeze for another time. So you'll be able to make this again. I always make a lot extra, so just giving you one more shot is... so from this point on, the next time you do it, you just start at this point. Okay, so what we're gonna need for this, how far is everybody? Is everybody close to me? Ready for this? Catherine, no. Amy, how you doing?
It just doesn't seem, it seems like there's, like it just needs to be pureed more or, you know, blended more.
Yeah, I let it go in the food processor for a while. So let it go until it's a paste.
I don't want to hold up the class or anything. So as soon as I'm the last one, we can move ahead.
Yeah, and from this point on, it's fairly easy too, to progress in steps. So is anybody ready with their paste? Hands up if you've got your paste ready. Poppy Maybell. Every show, I'm just going to give a shout out to Poppy Maybell.
She totally loves it. She gets her shout out every time. She was very expectant this time.
I love that she's there. And Carolyn Ribel just popped on and probably got a great shot of Poppy. Okay, so let me see. You know, I can't see everybody. Let me go to the gallery view. What you got, Kylie? I know something's coming here.
Am I an idiot? Or did I miss the part, the part where we put chilies in?
Yeah,
Chilies
I put all the chilies in right in the food processor.
Rock on. Then I'm almost good to go.
You got it. Okay. Let me fix my apron. So once one of you guys has your curry paste done, what we're going to do next, I'll walk you through it, is we're going to make the curry. So this is 5 cups right here, one of these boxes. So if you have these, 2 of these boxes are what we're going to use. I'm going to get my chicken out of the fridge. I did not want my chicken to be sitting out, so I kept it in the fridge. Let me pull it out and get it in a bowl here. So I've got my chicken legs. Mine's about a little less than 5 pounds of chicken in total. I'll wash my hands after touching raw meat. The other thing I'm going to do to prep that always gets me, because I never remember to do this beforehand, so look at me remembering, is if you have palm sugar in these discs, they need to be cut up into smaller pieces. And I always forget to do that until after they're needed. So I'm going to get a heavier knife. These are beasts. I'm going to split them apart. See if I can split them apart fairly easily. No. So I'm just going to cut into them like this. And it's work. And you start chopping off little bits of it. I know that you can actually, I've heard that you can microwave it. So I'm going to try that because these are rock solid and they're pretty old. So I'm going to try to soften it up by throwing it in the microwave for 20 seconds. If you have hard old palm sugar, you might try this. Okay, let's try it again. Yeah, much easier. So just giving it a quick microwave softens it up. And I'm going to put this in pieces that will dissolve much easier once we get our stock going. What is palm sugar was a question I was just asked. Palm sugar is I don't want to sound stupid. It's a sugar made from palm. It's used in a lot of Asian cooking. It's a more earthy type of sugar. It's not as glaringly sweet as white sugar or even brown sugar. There's almost like a fruity quality to it, and it's delicious. So highly recommend palm sugar in this dish and a lot of other Thai dishes. Does that answer your question, Driggs?
How much total palm sugar are we?
So what did I say? 3 ounces or 6? I think I said in my thing, palm sugar, 3 ounces. So one of these guys is 3 ounces. Do you have the same kind of palm sugar, or do you have a different? Oh yeah, you got a big hunk. All right, so when we're ready, the process is going to be, we're going to toast and fry the curry paste. So I'm going to put my pan on a medium low heat to start. And I'm going to add a few tablespoons of canola oil. You can see it in the overhead. Enough to fry, coat the bottom of the pan and to fry up all of the curry paste. And what we're going to do is we're going to add, once the oil gets hot, we're going to add the curry paste. And then we're going to add our turmeric and our curry powder. The curry powder is 1 teaspoon. The turmeric is 2 tablespoons. So once we get it in there frying, we're going to add that. And what we're looking for is for the curry paste to cook. Now, you got to keep it in a sort of medium to low sizzle, and it cooks for a little while, and it will smell up your whole house, and it'll be a beautiful smell. And sorry, I'm still stuck on that view. I got to remember to switch that back. And what you're looking for is getting it sort of just shy of crispy. You want it to cook. You're going to smell the shallots and the garlic and the lemongrass all cooking, and you want to activate all of them. So you want to cook it all the way through. It may stick to the bottom of the pan a little bit. That's not a problem because you're going to deglaze it with your liquids. So really toast it, but don't burn it. You got to find that space right between toasting your curry powder and burning it. And you'll smell it. You'll know what I'm talking about. And then you just have to make a judgment call about when to pull it. So I'm going to go ahead and put the curry paste in. I'm going to flatten it out and spread it out so that it can cook all the way across. I'm actually going to get a wooden spoon. And you can see it starting to sizzle in your overhead. I'll give viewers at home the overhead view. So all of this stuff is raw, and we basically want to get it cooked. Mix it in with your oil. And then, as I said, add your 2 tablespoons of turmeric, and then a teaspoon of your Indian curry powder. Turmeric, as you know, is just going to give it this beautiful dark yellow color. The curry powder gives it a little extra flavor. And the next step for those that are planning ahead, this is gonna go for, a few minutes, a good 5 minutes or so. We're next gonna add in our fish sauce and our soy sauce. Fish sauce is a half a cup. It's quite a bit. And soy sauce is, I think I accidentally put 2 tablespoons. I think it's 4 tablespoons. I didn't double it in that. So there'll be 4 tablespoons of thin soy sauce, a half a cup of fish sauce. And then what I like to do is, after I get those in, that's the point I put in the chicken. I like to coat the chicken in our first sort of liquid. And as you can see here, the oil is pretty much cooking out and getting absorbed by the curry paste. Don't worry about it sticking to the bottom, as I said. So you can see what's going on here. Just keep frying. Just keep swimming. And you want to go, as I said, just shy of too crispy or burn. You want to make sure that it's cooking everything through, but you don't want to burn it. And it smells incredible. I mean, it is just banging, that smell. And your entire house will smell like this for the next 3 days. Kind of like the matzo ball soup did, right? Left a nice layer of chicken fat on everything in your house. So there it is. Ribsy. Ribsy said hi. And apparently Poppy, they missed Poppy.
She'll be back.
She'll be back.
Ribsies.
So again, sticking a little bit to the bottom of the pan. Really starting to smell it now. It's crazy. You may be asking yourself, what is this guy who's cooking Jewish food teaching a Thai dish? In the 90s, after I graduated from college, I came back from living in Italy, my last year of college, and I found a job in Boulder, Colorado, working for an adventure travel company that focused on Southeast Asia. And that was it. That was the end of me. I worked for them for a number of years, 5-6 years, and then started my own company. So I spent a lot of time back and forth between Southeast Asia and here in the 90s. And it wasn't until September 11th that the business got its butt kicked and we shut it down. Maybe we survived like another year and a half after that, but I get into the travel business before September 11th, and I'm in the wine business or the wine travel business before COVID. Go figure. The good old days. That is right. Zolo trips. Look at Carolyn. She's nailing it. She's like an encyclopedia. Or is that Ribsy? I'm not sure which one wrote that. Okay, so you can see that it's starting to get a little dried out. You can start to smell it getting to the point of, it's not burnt, but it's getting crispy. You can see the stuff on the bottom starting to seize up a little bit. So I'm going to pour in my half a cup of fish sauce. Which always comes out really slowly from this. I usually cut it open into a bigger hole. I'm also going to turn it down a little bit because this stuff is going to be a face full of fish sauce. And then, as I said, 4 tablespoons of Thai soy sauce. I can approximate or we can measure it. course, really slow. 1. And you don't have to be exact on these guys. The idea is creating the base for your broth. 2. And I'm also going to put my palm sugar in right now because I want that to melt into it. 3. 4. Should be counting the Thai. I can show off my Thai language skills. All right, I'm going to deglaze the pan a little bit here. I'm going to throw my palm sugar in. I'm going to let the palm sugar melt. Once the palm sugar is melted, and you can see, if you look at my overhead, you can see that it's turned from that sort of gritty paste into more like a sauce. And once the palm sugar is melted, I'm going to throw my chicken in. I usually go skin side down to start, the whole leg. We'll put all 4 of them in here. And what we're going to do is just sort of start to cook the chicken before we add the poaching liquid. We're just going to get the chicken to cook in the curry. As I said, I'm going to turn it down a little bit. And we're going to let the chicken cook in here on each side. The last step for today, after we do that, is going to be adding in the coconut milk. Let me talk about what your homework is going to look at. Lorber, we miss you. Nika.
If I'm going to do tofu, should I put it in now just like it's chicken and just go?
No, wait till tomorrow. And here's the thing. If you want to do it the way the Thais do it, you probably want to fry your tofu. So fry up some tofu cubes. When we do the noodles, when we do the crispy noodles, slice up your tofu and just deep fry it with the crispy noodles after we do that.
All right, got it.
So I'm going to let this cook a little bit. We're going to add the coconut milk. So here's the homework tonight. Once you get that, I see, Catherine, it looks like you moved to a blender. I think a blender works. It's tough. Let me go back to the single person view here. Okay, so this is going to cook a little bit tonight. What's going to happen is you're going to add your coconut milk, much like we did with the matzo ball soup. You are going to slowly cook your soup, your curry, for 2 to 3 hours. It's almost the same process. What you want to do is, sorry, I'm just going to move these around a little bit. You want to poach the chicken until it's fall off the bone. You also want to infuse all of that curry flavor into your coconut milk. When it is done, after 2 to 3 hours, you want to take the chicken out of the curry, and then you don't have to do it with cheesecloth like we did before, but if you're going to strain it, just use a fine mesh strainer, put it through there, and you'll see like all of the fibrous stuff. Use a spoon to press hard down to get out all the good stuff, but it'll leave behind basically the fibers of the ginger, the galangal, and the lemongrass, and any remaining garlic and shallots that haven't gotten melted into the whole thing. So you'll have a fairly substantial pile of fibrous stuff, but then you'll be left with a beautiful broth that goes in the fridge. And then your chicken, unlike the matzo ball soup, and I did not remind you, pick the chicken off the bone tonight. So while it's warm, I mean, you don't have to. You can do it when it's cold, but it'll make your life easier. I'm turning these chicken legs over right now. I'm going to get a better tool for that. So, the matzo ball soup, I forgot to tell you, while it's warm, it's a lot easier to get the chicken off the bone. So I would pull the meat off the bone and then put that aside in another container, because that's going to go back into the soup tomorrow. For tomorrow, what you will have is your chilled clarified broth. You will have your chicken in pieces, those that are making chicken. We're going to have our noodles that we're going to boil half of them and fry half of them. We're going to prep our sides. So key limes. I don't know if everybody can get key limes. Regular limes work, but these are the best. I actually made key lime pie last night. Check out my Instagram because I had extra of these. We're going to chop up some shallots. I don't have my pickled mustard greens, but I'm going to try to track some down tomorrow because I think that's probably one of the most important things. Is that on my list? Because maybe I didn't get it because, yeah, it's not on the list. And I'm sorry for that. I don't know why it's not on the list. Pickled mustard greens. If you can find them, that makes all the difference. And then your roasted or fried chili paste for spice. So the sides of this, you'll have a little bowl that'll have cilantro, key limes, shallots, roasted chili paste, fish sauce to put in on your own, and I'm sorry, I don't know why it wasn't on the list, but pickled mustard greens is a killer. And those will be the accoutrements. So we'll assemble it all tomorrow. I'm going to add my coconut milk now. So as you can see, it's nice and thick. This is the rich stuff. This is the good stuff. If you're using Whole Foods or Trader Joe's brand, you'll know next time that this is the good stuff. They do also make it in cans. Taste of Thai, I believe, has a can that they put out. So if you can't get the Alroy D, there's a few brands that make it, but Asian grocery stores are the place to get it. Okay, so I put my 10 cups of my beautiful coconut milk. You're gonna see that you're gonna get pools of like red amassing. You wanna stir it gently to get all the stuff from the bottom to come up. But it'll work itself in over time. And it's gonna get darker as it goes. So it starts off fairly yellow. Here, you wouldn't notice if it's cloudy, but I still don't let it boil. There's no need to let this boil. Just keep it at a low simmer. I'm actually gonna cover it too. When we're ready to go. But if you guys want to take one last look at what it looks like on the overhead. So in the gallery view, this is what we're working with right now. Got, you know, the sort of pulling up of the red, the chilies. The chicken is going to poach in here. And we're going to let this go for, I would say, at least 3 hours. And then what you want to do is you can turn it down. So what time is it? That'll get you to like 9:30, and you might just turn it off and let it sit for another hour or so. You know, there have been times where I've made this late at night and I let it sit overnight, and it just gives more and more flavor into the broth. I wouldn't worry about it if you want to let it sit. So that's it. Does anybody have any questions in preparation for tomorrow? No questions? Everybody's got the process down that I just laid out? Kylie?
For tomorrow, should we show up with our ingredients hot for assembly, or will heating things up be baked into the cooking?
We can do it all together because it's going to be the curry broth itself doesn't take long to bring to heat, and we've got a bunch of other things to do. We're going to fry, so we have to. The one thing that you need to have is like a reasonable size pan to do your frying in. I will probably use this one. So I will probably use this pan to do my frying in, but you could also get away with something that's this size as well. You just want to have it deep enough so that you can get like, 3 inches of oil in it. If you happen to have some raw cashews, we can also do some fried cashews tomorrow because they're ridiculous. And I used to do them when I would fry the noodles when I was doing the dinner parties, the Thai dinner parties. Oh, and be careful. You don't let this stuff get onto your counters too much because the turmeric will stain and make everything yellow, as I just did. So be careful you don't splash it around too much. Okay, that is it for today. Any last questions? Any comments? Everybody feeling, does it smell good in your houses?
It smells delicious. Thank you, Adam.
It smells delicious. Sarah K. Matheson O'Neill, have you got it going? Yeah? Here, I'm going to unmute everybody so that we could say goodbye. Does it allow me to unmute? Unmute audio. It's weird. It doesn't allow me to unmute you guys.
Hi, Adam.
Tommy, always get a nice shout out from Tommy. Are you eating well, buddy?
Your food has been delicious.
Nice. Love it. All right, guys. So if nobody has any questions, then I will see you tomorrow. And you got your process down. Any questions, you can text me, and we'll do round 2 tomorrow. So thanks, guys.
Awesome. Thank you, Adam.
Yeah.